AEW Double or Nothing this weekend. We've got a variety of stars that are going to feature on the pay-per-view, some for the first time ever. So a lot of good news there. And of course, we'll be bringing you the latest on the whole Sasha and Naomi debacle over in WWE. Stay tuned. It's WrstlXtra.
Yo, this is WrstlXtra. I'm your boy A Dazzle, the Black Wrestling Advocate. Of course, always joined by my tag team partner, Mex, the WrestleManiac, if you will. Double or Nothing. Sunday, May 28th. It's looking interesting. But let's go straight to the first match that we want to talk about today, and the first situation that we find ourselves having a look at on this night. We've got Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs as a team, Taz, of course, and as well as Swerve and Keith Lee. I don't know if they've got a tag team name yet. I think they need a tag team name.
Aren't they called Swerve in Your Glory or some rubbish like that?
Is it that?
I think so.
And of course, both teams will be facing and have the chance to go after the AEW World Tag Team Championships against Jurassic Express. Now, it's interesting how we got here. Actually, I think it's kind of worked out. I remember when we first saw some kind of conflict with Swerve, Keith Lee, and Team Taz, we were like, here we go again. You know, we're throwing the black people with the black people, throwing another set of black people. You know, Team Taz have to put over another set of new black faces. But for us to get to where we are now, where the tag team championships are involved, I think it's kind of been done in a quite a clever way, or not necessarily clever and innovative, but it's worked. Basically, where we thought that the whole Team Taz and Swerve thing was kind of going, you know, in the dumpster, I guess. Mix, you are a bigger fan of the All Elite side than me, so you've had your eyes on it for, you know, more detail and all the rest of it. Kind of give us a bit of a synopsis as to how we got to where we are now and anticipating this triple threat tag team match at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I'm a big AEW fan, so this has been good. I will admit, you know, this is the peak investment I have ever had in Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. They've done a lot of good work over the last few weeks. Swerve and Keith Lee we know the heights that those guys can reach, you know. So I feel like right now they're pretty much just coasting, doing what they need to do, letting the story extend. And Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, more than anyone, has driven their story and then driven, of course, their own fortune towards the tag team championships. For me, there is no better time than to give these titles to Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. I see NK in the chat saying anyone but Jurassic Express, and that's what it's become. Like AEW have, you know, for a company that said from the outset that their focus more than anything was the tag team side of things and bringing tag team wrestling to the forefront. They've kind of dropped the ball at times in regards to this. There's been a lot of good chases to the tag team championship. And then once those tag team champions are crowned, the champions don't do anything, you know, from there. Now, this chase to the title hasn't even really involved Jurassic Express. Jurassic Express and particularly Jungle Boy, I mean, he's been off telling his own story. And these guys have just been feuding and almost kind of, you know, plopped into this situation of, now you're at the pay-per-view. I was trying to do some Googles before the show. I'm pretty sure this is Ricky Starks. This may be his first pay-per-view appearance at AEW, which is a bit crazy. He's kind of been there
Shocking.
since what,
Shocking.
beginning of pandemic. So that's what,
Yeah.
2020. He's more or less been there also.
Yeah.
I think it's his first pay-per-view appearance. I guess Powerhouse Hobbs the same. So yeah, this is it's a big moment beyond the tag team championship. Somewhat, I feel like this is a big moment for these lot. They've done a great job. Yeah, Starks and Hobbs, like anyone but Jurassic Express, but Starks and Hobbs for me is that's who I want to see leave the championships.
And I think that's the thing for me when it comes to this whole thing. Is as much as we, as I said at the start of the show, as much as we have kind of been a little more negative about Team Taz's involvements in any kind of storyline, maybe over the last 6 to 12 months, Starks and Hobbs have done basically what they've needed to do as much as they can do in order to kind of put themselves over as the characters that they are. Starks has been doing some great stuff on the mic, as we already know he can. Hobbs has been pulling his weight and doing what he needs to do with, the big power moves in some of the matches and backing up Starks as well when they come out to interfere in matches and make these little appearances and stuff as well. And I think the way that they've kind of, I guess, seamlessly thrown them into it, kind of, as you said, it was like they kind of plucked them in, but it was kind of done seamlessly in the sense where it was obviously a almost out of nowhere match between Starks and Jungle Boy, but then because of Swerve's involvement, it now becomes this triple threat thing, and it's worked in terms of the winner who should win the match. I can't see Jurassic Express losing, but I'm very much, I don't see it happening. Not because I don't want to. I just don't see them pulling that trigger. But at the same time, I think it's what Team Taz definitely need. I think what they've done over the last couple of weeks, it would make sense. It wouldn't kind of be like the first time Scorpio Sky won the TNT Championship, where it's kind of like, huh? It would make sense. There would be some sense to it. With it being a triple threat, it can be done in a way where, again, even in the match itself, it would make sense. And I think it's what Team Taz needs. Both Hobbs and Starks, even on a personal, even on an individual level, both of them need this to kind of, again, keep their relevance, keep them hot, keep them, just again, keep them relevant, because yes, Ricky Starks has got this FTW championship thing, but we all know what that is. It doesn't really mean nothing to nobody, and no one cares about it, and blah blah blah. Yeah. For them to hold the World Tag Team Championships would be a step in the right direction. You could still carry on this whole thing with what did NK call them? Strictly Business. Yeah. I actually like that though.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Strictly Business. I don't mind that. And that can carry on and kind of keep them involved in something as well. That would mean something as well. So yeah, Team Taz for the win would make a lot of sense. I think it would be okay. Here's a question for you: would it be too early for Swerve and Lee if they won these tag team championships?
Well, I like the use of the word early, because AEW do like to kind of not bring you in and propel you straight to the top. So in that sense, yes, it would be too early. They have to kind of pay their dues. They're now a top 5 ranked tag team, hence why they're getting the tag match at the pay-per-view. So in one sense, it's not. But then, if Swerve and Lee were to win, which I'm sure a lot of us wouldn't mind as well,
of course,
where does it leave Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs?
That would be the question.
This is it for me. Like I said, this is the most I've ever been invested in either of them. Deservedly. This isn't pity. This is, Ricky Starks, we've said this guy's got the credentials. Powerhouse Hobbs, I'm still a bit on the fence with. Like, I want good things for him, but I'm not entirely sure character-wise and other things. If everything's there yet.
You're not necessarily begging for it with him right now.
Yeah, with Powerhouse Hobbs, just as him on his own entity, I'm not sold yet. I can see there's bits of, sprinkled dust of specialness there, but I'm not sold yet, but this is the most I've been invested in him alongside Ricky Starks. And it's funny that this is happening for them, where before they were banded together as Team Taz, but now Hook's doing his own thing, but Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs doing their own thing. Taz ain't even really seen with these men at all these days, and things seem to be working out better for everyone individually. which it's one of them things. But if Swerve and Lee do win again, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I'm sure a lot of us would be happy, but where does Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs get a break then? Like, what's gonna happen to them? They've done so much good work until this point. It's almost like, okay, crown it, give it to them. Let's see what they can do.
And I was gonna say this, but AEW isn't WWE. I was gonna say, even if Swerve and Lee were to win, it would still give a chance for Team Taz to pursue the tag team championships and then maybe eventually win it. But AEW don't really do that. Yes, we've seen the whole thing, the hot potato thing with Scorpio Sky lately, but that was like the first time ever that we've seen anything like that. I doubt we'll see that happen, become a regular thing or happen again kind of anytime soon. So yeah, it would definitely need to be a Team Taz win, more so to save the save the memory of Team Taz more than anything else, basically. But I'll go back to what I said. I don't actually see AEW making the decision to take the tag team championships off Jurassic Express just yet. Not necessarily because of what they've done with them since they've had the titles, but more so the history of how AEW has their tag team runs and or their championship runs and all the rest of it. So it's gonna be it helps to make it more interesting, because as we know we want to see someone else win. We're kind of intrigued to see whether AEW will actually do it. And I think even in all of that as well, the stuff that Keith Lee and Swerve have been doing in the ring together, A1.
Very good.
A1 stuff. So I'm actually excited, really excited for this match. I might just actually stay up. No, I won't. I'll watch it the first thing in the morning. I'll do that. But yeah. I'm excited for this. this.
I mean, no matter who's gonna come out on top, this is gonna be a terrific match. For sure. Like, just in terms of action, it's gonna be very, very good. So
yeah, and to kind of get our mouths watering, we've got the triple threat match happening. Is it on Rampage or is it on Dynamite? With Ricky Starks, Swerve,
Dynamite,
Single Boy on Dynamite. So that is on Wednesday. Even that alone, just that match alone, should be very interesting. Should be very good. And to see who kind of goes into Double or Nothing with that, all important momentum, as they always put it during the matches and stuff. So that should be very interesting. Speaking of championship runs and the way things are going for people, Scorpio Sky seems to be doing something. I mean, he won a match, beat Frankie Kazarian, which was all right, which was decent. The little turn and beating up Frankie afterwards. No. I would have rather it. Then that moment should have been the moment it turned into Sky and Ethan Page feud. That's when it should have started, or at least told us this is what we're about to do with these two. But for them to both then just obliterate Kazarian after the match. Give me your thoughts on this, and what are we expecting for Scorpio Sky come Double or Nothing? Is there anything even set yet?
Bruv, I'm gonna make an assumption here. Have you seen Rampage this past week?
Little highlights, not the whole thing.
Okay, all right. Okay, maybe you missed this then, because this was like a highlighted piece. It was like a little vignette they just put into Rampage. So Sammy Guevara has stolen the TNT Championship. Scorpio Sky was demanding this back. Sammy Guevara took it outside into the parking lot area and took a sledgehammer to it, or a mallet, like a rubber hammer, and smashed up the TNT Championship. And Kazarian then joined Sammy Guevara, making it clear, Sammy Guevara, I'm not your friend, but you've kind of,
Enemy of
Sky's,
the enemies, my
yeah,
friend.
yeah,
No.
Sky's got me angry, and I'm smashing up the title as well, bruv. What are they doing? You didn't watch it, and I'm asking you what they're doing. I watched it, and I still don't know what they're doing. Like, where are they going with this? Like, this is potty. Like you said, the story where people were becoming somewhat invested in American Top Team. What's his face? Scorpio had that little inkling of, okay, Kazarian's my mate. Ethan Page. That's where the turn should have happened, and that's where things should have kind of started making this whole TNT story, better. And they've almost taken a couple steps back, went back to Sammy Guevara. This nonsense. Why the TNT title is smashed up, I don't know. I don't know from memory. I'm not sure if the TNT title is on the line at Double or Nothing. I think
I've not seen anything concrete about it yet.
Okay, but even still, is Scorpio Sky just gonna turn up now with a brand new title? Or like, this is just bad. This is very bad.
So hold on. So we've got there was once 2 titles, right? That were
correct.
Yep. Scorpio Sky was holding both of them, or Dan Lambert would hold the second one.
And Scorpio Sky told him to stop holding the second one when it looked like he was making a face turn. So I don't know where that title is now. So yeah.
Right. So where's that title? Why can't you just go and grab that one after this one's been smashed up?
Well, we're yet to see. We're yet to see if that's the case.
But even if that did happen, it would still be like, why are we doing this?
Why was there 2 titles floating around in the first place?
Right. Okay. I'm a little bit like, what the hell is this? I just don't understand. I don't get it at all. I don't understand why we have, backtracked when I thought they were kind of trying to save themselves in the first place. So obviously we had this whole thing with Sammy Guevara. They were trying to put him over, but at the same time, because of his whole thing with Ty Conti and on social media and stuff, obviously they're getting a bit of a bad name. Trying to make them faces, it just wasn't working. So then instead, let's kind of turn the tables around. Let's make him a heel and make Scorpio Sky the face. All right, you kind of right in your wrongs here. You listen to the fans. You kind of moving with the waves and how it's going. Then they're trying to push against the tide again. And I'm just like, why?
So to defend AEW, now when I think about it, I don't ever think. I think obviously Tony Khan had his plan, Sammy Guevara and thing. Maybe he wanted to turn them, but then people don't like Guevara and Conti, so they just started cheering organically for Scorpio Sky. So at that point, they probably should have changed the idea.
And that's what.
But yeah, they've now let him be a full heel, and yeah,
that's what I'm saying, and that's what I thought was happening with that ladder match. Is that's what we were getting, and even Scorpio Sky, offering Kazarian a chance at the championship. That was another kind of a show of he's turning face and he's being a good guy. Again, we get the whole thing. He beats Kazarian. It was a good match. Ethan Page gets himself involved when Scorpio Sky didn't actually ask him to. Again, another chance to go a certain direction, but they're trying now to go back to what they originally tried to do, which I don't get. This is a WWE problem. This is literally a WWE problem. This is what the kind of thing WWE would do on a regular basis, and we're very used to them doing that and expect that. So for AEW to be doing it, it's a little bit more perplexing than even when WWE do it.
Bruv, the TNT title, of course, it's not the World Championship. Some would call it a mid-card title. As far as I'm concerned, not for one day in its early inception did this ever feel like a mid-card title. They dropped the ball a bit with Darby Allin because he was doing his whole thing with Sting and Team Taz. After that Team Taz thing, Darby Allin picked up the pace. He then, Cody had it again. Miro had it. That's when that title felt at its most important. And since then, Sammy Guevara flip-flopping it with other people 3 times. Sammy Guevara, Scorpio Sky 2 times. The title is in the loo now. The title is honestly in the loo in terms of stuff that they're doing with it, how they're booking it. Like right at this point, I want them to come out on Wednesday and just be like, okay, cool. TNT title, ladder match. Right, Scorpio's in there as champion. Sammy Guevara, cool. Add 4 other names and just crown a brand new champion, reset the title and start again. Because this is a abort. This is when you're pressing the abort button. Like, this isn't working, guys. Or like when you're watching TV and something bad comes on the TV screen and they cut it quickly. Like, literally, like, this is very, very bad. I didn't expect this of them at all, to be honest.
No. And again, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were talking about the hot potato frig and how bad, that last month has been for the TNT Championship. And again, I kind of saw this ladder match as a reset button. You know what I mean? And to give a face Scorpio Sky a decent run. I wasn't expecting it to be bigger than Darby Allin's was, or bigger than Cody's, or even Miro's was, and all that kind of stuff. But at least a decent run with it. Beat someone decent at the pay-per-view. More than likely, an Ethan Page story, as much as Ethan Page isn't a big name, because of their close quarters and all the rest of it, it would have made sense. It would have helped. It's kind of pay-per-view enough.
Yeah.
To be put on the card. But we've just gone somewhere else, and I'm just like, am I watching NXT back in 2018 again? Like, what's going on?
This is it.
And hammers and sledgehammers and huh?
Yeah, it's not good. SDK08 says hot potato works when being booked well, but this has been disgusting. Yeah, I mean, we always know the world title is somewhat held with reverence. These are the kind of other titles that can move a bit more frequently.
Right.
But it's everything around it. Like you say, that little window they had for Scorpio to stand up to Ethan Page alongside his friend Kazarian, they didn't take it. And then Scorpio, if they took it, they could have went on a good run. There's loads of, decent heels of all different heights, sizes, abilities that he could have faced, got some good matches out of before they thought of, all right, who's the next program? Who's the next champion?
Right.
And now, like, this, it's just not good press. Like, we always talk about, the easy comparison is WWE. Like, the Intercontinental title was saying, I think was it last week I was saying that the Intercontinental title hasn't been on a pay-per-view since WrestleMania like 2 years ago or something. Like, they're booking this as badly as WWE treat their mid-card titles. And the fact that they're actually trying to book it, like, WWE just forget that IC title exists and just leave it off. These are actually trying to book something and it's actively not working.
And this is why I'm saying about it being more perplexing, because for them to push their own agenda, or their original agenda, should I say, their original agenda so hard, and it's very clear it's not working, and they're still trying to run with it and switched it up so many times. It's that part. It's that part that's difficult to get with and try to make sense of. I guess we'll see what happens on Dynamite. That's the house of the home of the TNT Championship. I guess we'll see what happens on there. I don't know where it's supposed to go. I don't know how you fix it. I honestly don't know how you fix it. I don't know what the answer is to this. So I'm very intrigued to see what their answer is and what the next thing is. Go to a few more comments. What is that?
So Ibi says, I want Miro to just come out at Double or Nothing or Dynamite after the pay-per-view, batter all of these men. Miro will be guaranteed to get thank you, Miro chance. We need the Redeemer.
Real talk.
SDK08 says, it's so weird to see how the title began to it now being full of shenanigans. I feel bad for Scorp. I know a lot of people weren't rooting for him, but he's a great worker that deserves better.
We've got that argument as well. That could start a whole nother show in my mind. But this is where we're at. What other things are we expecting and anticipating at Double or Nothing?
So Jade was recently added to the card again for a segment on Rampage where Red Velvet was facing Chris Statlander for the next round in the Owen Hart tournament. Statlander won the match. The baddies came in, started to beat up Statlander, and Anna Jay ran to the rescue with a steel pipe, I think it was, or a steel chair. She came with something and chased them all out of the ring. Then Jade Cargill in a promo segment backstage basically challenged Anna Jay for the TBS title at the pay-per-view. So they know they have to put Jade on the pay-per-view.
Come on, that'd be ridiculous if they didn't.
They know they've got to do that. Anna Jay, I guess they've went back to the well, which was one of Jade's probably best matches in AEW. Her previous match with Anna Jay for the title. So this is gonna be good. But I do feel like Jade. I know they've been building up the baddies stuff, all for Red Velvet not to go and win the other day, but then they're cooling down Jade. And when we talk about WWE in a bit, I feel that it's the same kind of thing with Bianca Belair. Like, it's like we've built this person to this point now.
Right.
Where do we go?
What do we do next? Right.
What do we do next? Yeah.
All of this kind of feels a little bit thrown together, just to make sure Jade's on the card. And as you said, they've been building the baddies, which is a great thing. It's best for business. It's good for TV. It kind of gives Jade an extra, an extra string to her bow and stuff like that. But do you think because of all of this now, there's not been I feel there should have been more focus on an actual proper feud to then give us the match at Double or Nothing. I think yes, okay. Anna Jay was probably her best match or hardest opponent up to now, but again, out of nowhere, like what could have or probably should have been done better with this?
I think the direction that they're going is Statlander. Obviously, Statlander and what's her face? Red Velvet crossed paths, and Statlander is surely going to kind of rear her head again somewhere down the line. Maybe Statlander wins the Owen Hart tournament and then comes out to challenge Jade. I've always thought Statlander is the person. Whenever Statlander is ready, Statlander has to be the one to beat Jade in terms of believability at this point. There's very little others that can do that, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's where they want to go. They clearly just needed to put her on this pay-per-view card, and Statlander is still, climbing that mountain to get to this point, so it's a bit too early. But yeah, they need to still be doing stuff with her, like I don't know, like even use talents from outside the company, good free agents that they can bring in. Don't need to sign them, but people that can come in and challenge Jade. Like they could have made Jade do something like an open challenge at Double or Nothing, and we get the likes of Athena coming in, even if it's for a one-off because she hasn't quite signed a deal yet. Like just something. If you're gonna throw something together last minute, I feel that's a better way to do it rather than what we have. Nothing against Anna Jay. I want to see more Anna Jay. I want to see her get better. But this, like, why is Anna Jay coming out to defend Chris Statlander? Like, there's been nothing between them on TV that even says they're friends. All they are baby faces. So yeah. It's really kind of just thrown together,
which is a shame. Here's a question for you, slightly random, but at the same time still kind of in with what we're talking about. Obviously, we saw the baddies kind of form mainly through their interaction on social media and stuff. Do you think it would be a good idea to include Sonny Kiss into that group? Because obviously Sonny Kiss is also as well one of the ones that we'll see them doing the TikTok videos with and all the rest of it. Do you think that would help, or would it be a good thing for either Kiss himself or the group on a whole?
I think it would help Sonny Kiss, obviously, to get more TV time and stuff like that. But already, like I've always, the minute they put the baddies and stuff together, like we said before, little explanation as to why. Maybe it's just they're black, round them up. But I just feel like I've always I hated the fact that Red Velvet lost to Chris Statlander. And it's weird because I'm happy Chris Statlander won. I'm more invested in Chris Statlander, but I don't want these people around Jade to not carry her aura. I don't want them to bring her down. And I feel like someone like Sonny Kiss, and even like we're seeing with Red Velvet, they're not doing anything for the Jade brand. Like this monster that they've built and built pretty well compared to everyone else in that division. Like, I don't want them to surround it with people that are not gonna be of the same ilk.
And it's weird because, you know, you saying that, it kind of makes me think to myself, or realize, should I say, that, you know, the baddies are there to build up Jade, but then at the same time, in a very weird way, the lesser experienced one, that is Jade Cargill when it comes to years in the business, is the one that's carrying Red Velvet and Kiera Hogan. She's the one that's bringing them two up. And it would be the same thing if Sonny Kiss was to join the fold and whatever else. It would actually be exactly the same thing. It kind of almost feels like the last few months or so of the Hurt Business, or after Bobby Lashley became world champion. It was like, up until, you know, with the way they were booked more than them themselves, with the way they were booked, WWE were kind of like, right, we've got our world champion now. We don't need these guys anymore. And it almost feels like that could possibly happen very quickly here if the attention's not put on the other two. And as you said, with Red Velvet losing, we're kind of heading down that road already. Like, what was the point?
Bruv, all now, they haven't really given Kiera Hogan anything to do. Jade is the TBS champion. She carries herself. She cuts the promos. Red Velvet's got a few promos leading up to the Owen Hart tournament, saying, you know, she's going to win. She won her first round match or her qualifying match. And then it's like, you look at Kiera Hogan to say, you know, what's your accolades?
What are you going to say?
She doesn't say nothing. Or what? I dance on TikTok and all them things. Like, so that we have to, I don't know, like, I'm really, like, protective over Jade.
Sure. No, for sure.
Like, so I really don't want to see them mess this up. And like I said, if anyone is going to be around, if they're going to put infrastructure, no matter who it is, like, they have to be the part as well. So we forever take Jade seriously. Otherwise, she's going to become one of these heels where it's like, you know, like the cowardly heel, like, Jade is no longer winning matches in dominant fashion. She's getting Red Velvet to pull people's legs on the apron and stuff like that, which I feel is okay. Like, maybe nearing the end of her tenure, when she's like maybe struggling to hold on to the grasp of keeping the TBS championship, then those kind of stuff can come in. But apart from you know, pretty faces right now, I don't really know what everyone is offering to this.
I think there's a way to, you know, it probably could and should have gone. It could still happen, but with the Jade loss, you know, I mean, Red Velvet's loss, it's a little bit like, okay, what's going on? You could still have it to where Red Velvet and Kiera Hogan help each other in their matches.
Yeah,
Jade doesn't have to be the one. Jade doesn't have to come down with any of those two whenever it's their match. But those two always follow Jade. But then Kiera Hogan does the dirty for Red Velvet to win, and vice versa. And that would then still build them up without hurting Jade, without having Jade involved or having to come down maybe in order to, you know what I mean, help anyone else and all that kind of stuff.
Even saying that, this isn't a thing that AEW do often, if at all. Like, AEW don't really mess with finishes of matches through like these kind of nefarious means. So again, it's a lot. Let me take shall I take some comments?
Yeah, go for it.
Thanks for everyone live commenting. There's a loads here. Joey Clark, I think Britt should be the one who ends Jade's undefeated streak for good at All Out. Okay, some months away. This is September.
Not too bad, Nadia.
Gareth, big up Gareth. He says, I kind of like that they've rewarded Jade and Anna for their great match a few months back. He goes on to say, women's division is nonsensical in AEW, sadly. It's the truth. SDK 08, Dark Order are in disarray. They need to check Indeed for jobs. Listen, that's a whole other pod, bro. Them man are falling off.
Completely.
Ibby B says Statlander is the one to beat Jade in my opinion. Anna vs Jade was surprisingly great for two green workers back in January. Jade just has this star power. It'll be the largest crowd she would have performed in front of, which is great again for the CV. SDK away. I think the only issue with Sonny being with the baddies is outside of him being black. Sonny competes in the men's division, which I won't see how the baddies will help outside of TikToks.
But here's the thing. Now, this is what I was going to say before you carry on any other comments. This is, I think it would add a dynamic for them to then have even more exposure. So Sonny Kiss, yes, of course, competes in the men's division, but then to have, it's almost like, I guess for him, it would almost be like having a female manager to interfere with the matches, and you've got that kind of thing there. Or if it's the other way around, if we get another couple, if we, say Ty Conti and Sammy Guevara, for example, Ty Conti versus Red Velvet, Sonny Kiss gets involved if Sammy Guevara tries to get involved. You've got those kind of things you can mess with. So, I think it could add a dynamic. Is it necessary or needed? Not necessarily. I just think it's one of those things that could work. And because he's always there with the TikTok stuff, it kind of had my mind going thinking.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
But yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah. Ola's Gaming, big up Ola. He says, feels like the baddies aren't there to elevate Jade. I feel like Jade is having to elevate them, and I don't want to see that right now. Might just be me. Nope, SDK08 says, I think AEW need to bring back the women's tag team tournament and let Kiera and Red Velvet win that. They're low-key bringing Jade down. We like Nyash, but we want to see you win. Oh, you're trying to get us in trouble, bro. Gareth says, yeah, it would be good if AEW had women's tag titles because the baddies would be perfect for that. Ibi said, I don't like the sudden no explanation to bring them together, but I think this group has worked fantastically well. I don't think it hurts Jade at all. Velvet and Hogan needed this.
And this is the thing for me. That's what it is. It's Hogan and Red Velvet definitely needed it. It's given Kiera something to do. Well, kind of given Kiera something to do, or given a TV time at least. It's made a bit of sense with Red Velvet in terms of a character's frustration and not necessarily getting over with the fans on on the outside as well, or on social media in general. So they needed something to do. Again, as you've already said, and we both said, the loss to Statlander just kind of makes us wonder what the plan is.
Yeah,
with this group, and I was gonna say, I think it was Gareth that kind of alluded to it as well. It highlights the cracks again in AEW's women's division, or the direction, or whoever the management or whoever's booking the women's division right now. Because even with the baddies, it definitely wasn't AEW's idea. That's for sure. It was definitely the girls, or the the attention they were getting on social media and all the rest of it. And I thought, let's try and see if this works.
There's something here, yeah.
There's something here. It definitely wasn't their idea. So it's clear that they don't have a definitive direction. And that's very worrying, because already with them only being together not even about a month, if that, we're kind of seeing, not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I get it thus far. I think Chris Statlander winning against Red Velvet is it's a catalyst to eventually get her to Jade. I just feel that, I don't want to see those around Jade losing at the same time. Catch 22, right. I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Moving the conversation along a little bit, but we're still talking about the treatment of our queens. Last week, we had a whole town hall discussion and meeting about the happenings of what went down last week, Monday, just before Raw, when Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out after numerous meetings with management, with Vince McMahon himself, with the producers of WWE and their match. And we've seen WWE, the way they've handled it, or the way they handled it straight away, was to throw them under the bus. Corey Graves is calling them unprofessional. They've made a statement on social media and on their website, and everyone was kind of like waiting to see what would happen from there. On Friday on SmackDown, it was announced on the show that the two ladies would be suspended indefinitely. Their merchandise pages have been taken down off WWE Shop, and I'm just perplexed, if I'm honest, by the way this whole thing is being handled. The suspension is the suspension. That's not even a big thing. I'm not surprised by that. It kind of makes sense. I get it. But for this whole thing to be playing out publicly and on TV, and still now, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I don't get what the agenda is for WWE. I don't get why they feel the need to do it this way. What are your thoughts? What have you kind of seen play out over the last week or so on social media and stuff like that?
Yeah. Some type of disciplinary action was going to happen.
Always.
So that doesn't necessarily surprise me. An indefinite suspension sounds to me like it's kind of serious. I mean, we know WWE don't plan anything. So I kind of expected them to give us a date of when we can expect them back. All that would probably cause is for the crowds to start screaming their names in shows and stuff like that. Right. Which, to be honest, I think the crowd should probably be doing now. But yeah, they have literally thrown, some of their biggest stars under the bus. Like, all for what? They like I said, they kind of told a bit of some lies in their statement about, this was the planned, advertised main event, this 6-pack challenge or whatever it was meant to be. That's a lie, because nothing was announced before Raw. For the last 3 Raws, just so everyone knows, they have never told us what the main event was before the show, even on social media. So that is just a straight up lie. It's come out, I think a day ago or 2 days ago, as in 100% confirmation. This was reported at the time, but in the last 2 days, it's 100% confirmed that Sasha Banks and Naomi left before TV even began, before the show even began. So they weren't even in the building when the show started, and then you said Sasha and Naomi are in the 6-pack challenge. So you've lied again. And the continued berating online. We saw obviously Corey Graves the Monday it happened. Michael Cole on SmackDown about they disappointed all of their fans. I'd like to find out where for Bants, I put out a poll on my Twitter, like who was disappointed by this. I think when I last checked it, 70-something people had answered. 95% of them said, I'm not disappointed. I stand with Sasha and Naomi.
Right.
So I don't know where these millions are that were disappointed, but okay. And then Corey Graves again, obviously he posted something on his Instagram about people don't like the truth, or something like some quote about the truth, and that people would like to avoid the truth. And he mentioned it in the show on Raw last night again, the quote, which is, I guess it works in tandem with whatever he was talking about on Raw, but he knows why he posted it initially on Instagram in the first place, if you see what I mean. So I don't understand. You've taken people off TV. You've never done this. You've never, if people leave or walk out or this, that, and the other. I mean, Austin walked out because he didn't want to lose to Brock Lesnar for no reason. Nothing was said. The Rock maybe came out and made a few jabs, and in storyline that made sense because it's The Rock and Austin.
Right.
Like, these things don't happen, but you've chosen on this occasion to like flex your muscles, display your power, and embarrass 2 women. And again, I get that ultimately AEW, WWE, whoever it is, they write a show. You are a character in the show, so you follow, your lines. If this was Friends, you're not going to get like Ross kicking off. Like, I'm not doing that. You see what I mean? Like, so I get it, but like the way this is handled, same with the Friends example, they're not going to come out and be like, Ross took his ball and went home. You see what I mean? On the TV show, they ain't going to do that. So yeah, this has just been absolutely it's WWE again showing why this should not be the company that people come and work for to be treated well, sort of thing. Yes, we can give you the millions and all the money and stuff, but the treatment of the staff, it's not on, man.
Let me just read that comment. NK's comment. It's funny how I've seen a lot of fans after this situation try to downplay Sasha and Naomi's accolades to side with WWE. As a fan, we need to protect our women, and that's the other thing that I've seen as well. So I have seen and it's not the millions, it's definitely not a millions type of situation, but there is this small pool of people who, don't necessarily understand Sasha and Naomi's side of things, don't understand what it really actually meant for them to have to walk out, how much it's taken for them to actually walk out. I mean, a lot of people have kind of, seen it as an isolated incident when we know it's clearly not. It's very obvious it's clearly not an isolated incident. So you've got one or two people, one of them being Bully Ray. I think on his podcast, I didn't hear the whole thing, but I've heard a quote where he was like, he's spoken to a few people in the WWE, some of the talent who stand with Sasha and Naomi, but then he said, stand for what? He was questioning what this whole thing is about. What are they standing for?
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that we did the comparison straight away. This time last week, everyone was talking about, but when Tony Storm was upset, when Jeff Hardy was upset, when Neville was upset, when Mustafa Ali's upset, we were applauding, or the masses were applauding. We're not getting this, this underhanded type of approach from WWE, and I just find it crazy. I don't understand how or why it's happening and still going on. Like if it just happened on Raw, cool. It was a kind of almost like an initial reaction type of thing, and we move on. They get suspended, no problem. But to still be doing this unprofessional, to still have the narrative carrying on Raw last night, even I believe Toxic Attraction, one of them said something that was a bit of a dig or an indirect dig of what Sasha and Naomi did as well on NXT. And I'm just like, what are we doing? But then at the same time, it's interesting if you see the clip of Michael Cole talking about the suspension and saying that they upset the fans and blah, blah, blah. Look at Pat McAfee's face, bro. He's just like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
Pat's a fan favorite as well. So, and he's someone that would be very close with the talent. They've accepted him in, It's one of these people where celebrities coming into our world, blah, blah, blah. But he's obviously done a good job every time he steps in the ring. Just like you're saying that, these people that kind of stand with them in terms of Pat, I don't know how many people kind of caught on to this, but Alexa Bliss, she walked out before she walked out for a match on Raw last night. She had a backstage interview, and she basically, I can't say the whole thing about standing with them because I think she does have previous of not getting on with Sasha, if I'm correct.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yep.
But she definitely poked fun at her creative. Alexa Bliss is someone that we had heard as, she hasn't come back as soon as people would have wanted her because she doesn't like her creative, or they don't have creative for her. And she stood backstage at the interviewer, and you could see even the interviewer was perplexed with where's she going with this. She basically said, "Oh yeah, tonight I'm facing Nikki Cross, who used to be my best friend, but then we didn't see eye to eye, and now Nikki's a superhero, and now I'm holding the doll. But yeah, I'm going to fight Nikki Cross." So she, slyly or not, she basically mocked her entire creative over the last year or so.
Yeah.
Whether, like I say, she's doing it to stand with these ladies or just in her own situation, there has to be, some type of way you manage things. I can't believe this company has a HR. Well, I don't believe this company has a HR department.
I don't think it exists.
It can't run. This can never run. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's the whole thing of them calling Sasha and Naomi unprofessional, but yet they're handling it in the way that they are, which is unprofessional.
Yeah,
But this is what rich white men can do, and no one can say anything to them at the end of the day. And that's how simple it is to me, because for me, this is, before we even get to the race part of things, this is two women being dragged under the bus. And I think, this is where all of this has kind of come from, because as we've said, and multiple people have said over this last week, is if that was any other male or a top male star, because we already know Sasha is a top star. People can argue Naomi, but she's a top star too. But Sasha is way up there. If that was the equivalent male star that did the same.
That was Roman Reigns. They ain't doing nothing.
Bro. If that was Roman Reigns,
they ain't doing
like,
nothing.
all right, take as long as you want. We're sorry we did what we did. We'll rewrite it for you. You take a day off, come back next week, tell us what you want to do, and we'll do exactly that. That's what they'd say to Roman Reigns. There'd be no statement, no nothing. And yeah, you can argue that there's, Roman Reigns is higher than a Sasha Banks, but at the same time, who's higher than Sasha Banks really in the women's division? And I'm sure even if this was Becky Lynch that did this, I still have a feeling something similar would have happened, because she's a female. But then add on top of that they're two black women. Don't you dare, like, the white men at the top are thinking, don't you dare allow two black females to get the better of us. There's no two ways about it. Anyone can argue with me as long as they want. There's no two ways about it. It's as simple as that. And that's why this is happening the way it is happening. And it still kind of perplexes me as to how they're going so far with it. But this is what it is.
This is it. And this is what I mean. If there's no HR there, like, I think it has been said by so many people at this point, like, put Sasha to one side. Naomi wouldn't hurt a fly.
Right.
For Naomi to walk out in a career, she's been there for longer than Sasha. She's been there from the origins, like FCW. She's been there. And you lot have never had any issue with Naomi. And where is the person with half a brain in the office that says, okay, guys, maybe we should just reach out to Naomi and just see? Because, you have them kind of people in a real office environment. Like, this person never gets angry at anything. They just, take, even if it's rubbish, even if you give them poo to eat, they're going to ask you to pass the salt and pass the pepper and eat it. You see what I mean? Like, so where is the person with half a brain that just says, let's reach out to her. Let's understand this a bit better. Maybe we've acted, but they're never taking the blame. They're never going to take the blame. You lot are at fault. And then you lot are at fault. You're going to walk out and then we're going to tell lies on your name to make you come across worse to the audience. The audience are waiting for them people to return. And you're saying they're disappointed. The audience don't even have the full story. They don't have the ladies' side of the story. WWE have, again, shown, like I say, they are not the people you want to work for, man. Because the minute something goes wrong, look where you are.
And that's what scares me with, the other top star, the other black female top star in the company, that is Bianca Belair. We've not seen any signs of anything going wrong, but at the same time, it's worrying to think that it can go left just like that. I mean, they've built this woman, Bianca Belair, for, at least the better part of a year, 2 years almost. And, it's kind of like, right, if she says anything a little bit wrong, or if someone just changes their mind, regardless of whether she does anything wrong or not, if someone just changes their mind on her, then what? You know what I mean? It's worrying. It's worrying. To read NK's message, he says, I'm happy Sasha and Naomi stood up for themselves. It's time that people take a stand. Sasha is a draw. She is one of the most important wrestlers in that company. She will leave.
This will leave a scratch. I think she's done. I think she's done.
I would expect her to be done. I would definitely expect her to be done. I'm not sure how they resolve this. It was always going to be down to what their next decision was. WWE's next decision was the suspension is the suspension. Again, I don't even think that's not even an issue right now. That's not an issue. I don't think it's an issue at all. It's the way it's been done. It's the way it's carrying on. It's the words that they're using, the phrases and all the rest of it, and the way they're trying to just drag them under the bus like they don't even themselves understand how these two women got to that point. You can be disappointed with what they eventually did. Walking out, it kind of made them having to, rewrite certain things and rebook and da. That's annoying. I get it.
Yeah.
But for you to still be dragging them under the bus in the fashion that they're doing it, like you can't understand why they're upset. That for me is the biggest worry of all of this, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
I can imagine, like, Bianca Belair must be in a really confused state of mind right now. These two, despite even age and her Bianca Belair is older than Sasha Banks, but these two are her older sisters in WWE.
In the business, for sure.
If these two are out of here, right, that leaves Bianca Belair as the only black woman on the main roster, which takes us back to how many years is that setting us back? The next down I would say, Lash Legend in NXT. And obviously she still has a lot to prove before she ever makes it to these kind of heights. This is very confusing. And even we were looking at Bianca's booking over the last few weeks, since WrestleMania, really hasn't done much of anything. The focus in that division is on Becky Lynch. The focus has been on Rhea Ripley turning. The focus has been on Asuka returning. And Bianca Belair for the past 2 weeks has come out, sat on commentary, not said anything on commentary, just literally sat next to Corey Graves and not said a word. This is your Raw champion. Hasn't said a word. The pay-per-view, what was the pay-per-view before? WrestleMania Backlash. She wasn't on it. She's got a match this Hell in a Cell in a week or so, but
that's a triple threat. That's the triple threat involving Asuka and Becky Lynch. It's very similar. It's definitely a very similar thing where I think what was the other triple threat that she was in Saudi Arabia, and
Sasha and Becky,
but I think it was Sasha that felt like she was just thrown in there. It wasn't about them two. Bianca's been in this position as well before with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, where it wasn't about her. It was about the other two. She was just thrown in there just to add a dynamic. And this is what this feels like, but she's the one that's the champion.
This is the second time we've said this. Last year, run to the championship, great.
Very true.
Once she's become champion.
Very true.
And I don't think it's a Bianca issue. This is obviously WWE booking baby faces, like babyface champions, that is. They don't know how to do it at all. But someone you've invested so much time in, why is the focus not on her? How has she, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think she has cut a promo since being left off WrestleMania Backlash.
No, not since Backlash. Definitely not since Backlash.
Like it is what it is. But yeah, like for what her friends would be going through right now, I can just imagine her head is scrambled. You're probably thinking about, like you said, my long-term future, if something for me messes up, how would I be treated? And this is why ultimately you just have to have your hands in these other pots. If they want you to be doing this ambassador kind of stuff, she's been doing that. She's been doing the media stuff, so that if that fatal day does come, her face is out there more than just a wrestler. You have the ability to give public speeches and public talks and be a public figure and stuff like that. Just because the place that you're working for can't guarantee you peace of mind, into your later days of your career, unfortunately.
And this is why, and it's funny on the way to the studios in the taxi. I was having a good chat with the taxi man about wrestling. One of the things that he said, he used to watch it and all the rest of it, and we were speaking about guys like CM Punk and John Cena and The Rock, who with John Cena and The Rock, obviously they've made themselves names outside of wrestling now. Whereas a CM Punk, he couldn't really make his name outside of the wrestling because he was way too focused on the wrestling thing itself.
Yeah.
It's very important, and especially for these ladies that we're talking about, Sasha Banks, Naomi, and now Bianca Belair as well, to find a home, well, not necessarily a home, but find a place somewhere else. Because if it goes wrong, as quickly as it has for Sasha and Naomi right now or last week, there needs to be something else for you to have. And we kind of touched on this last week, and it's quite obvious where Sasha Banks will probably end up, and she's got something to fall back on. Naomi, she hasn't necessarily done anything yet to make us think that she's got something else to fall back on. I'm sure she has the skills and talents and whatever else and possibilities to make something else happen. But because we haven't seen anything else, we're not sure.
Yeah, we don't know
whether it's going to work out for her. We can easily say, if Sasha Banks turns around and says she's done with WWE, all right, cool. Hollywood's waiting for you anyway. You're nice. Naomi, not too sure, and that's scary for me. That's worrying for me. Just how quickly someone's career can disappear when they want to stand up for themselves and stand up for something that was going to help elevate the company, or at least a section of the company. Like, I struggle.
I'll just plug one thing before we wrap up here.
Yeah.
If you guys listen to the Kick Out podcast, Skillet and Ace had a conversation, or it was from a press meeting with Sasha Banks and Naomi. And in the conversation that they said, you can see how much these two love each other, first and foremost, how much they want to do for this tag division, how much they want to do for this women's division, how much Naomi spoke at length for how much Sasha Banks has helped her. This walkout is definitely more than just we turning up on a day and finding out we're not doing something tag team.
Right.
This has been a long time coming, especially from the place of passion that they spoke about of what they want to do for the women's division with these tag titles. This has been a very long time coming. That's a Kick Out podcast. So,
yeah, man, guys, let's check that out, and let's, as NK put in the chat a few minutes back, let's continue to support these women who are standing up for basic equality. At the end of the day, if nothing else, it's basic equality that they should be shown after they've put in the amount of work that they've put in over the years and made their names. And this is where we're at. Guys, our time has run out. On that sad note, our time has run out. I am A Dazzle. You can catch me on Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram and Black Wrestling A on Twitter. You can catch this guy, Mex, WrestleManiac.uk on Instagram, WrestleManiac UK on Twitter. Also, as well, of course, follow, subscribe to the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time, or the 5 times a day this man puts a video on YouTube. Folks, this has been WrestleXtra, and we will see you again soon.
Peace out, guys.